Hello and welcome to our next YouTube video. Today I want to tell you about how I analyze a property before I recommend it to a client of mine. So one of the common mistakes or misconceptions that people usually make when buying a property is when they ask if this is a good property, because that's actually not quite the right question. Because a gorgeous property can be a terrible investment. A great investment can be a completely wrong type of investment for a particular buyer. And a project from a famous developer can still be overpriced. So before I recommend any property to any client, I put it through a checklist of mine. I look at the location, quality, layout, price, rental demand, liquidity, service charges, the developer itself, its reputation, its track record, and many other aspects beforehand and before I come up with a conclusion. Number one, the location within the community. So the first thing I look at is the location and not just the community name. Saying Dubai Hills is good or Palm Jumeirah is good, it's just too broad. What I mean is the actual micro location within the macro location. Two properties in the same community can perform very differently. I pay attention to things like, what does the property face? Is the view protected? Is it near a busy road or not? How close is it to community entrance, school, park, beach, retail, etc.? And for villas, I look at things like the street, privacy, plot position, extensions, upgrades, and what it backs onto. For apartments, I look at things like floor plan, orientation, view, and positioning within the building, and so on and so forth. The community in general gets you interested, but the micro location, it's actually what matters, and it determines the value of the property in the long run. So I don't just look at a community alone, I pick a specific property within that community. That's an important distinction to make. Number two, the developer, the building, and the construction quality. The next thing I look at, it's what you're actually buying. Obviously, the developer matters tremendously, but I don't just look at the brand name. I look at the developer's actual track record. I want to know a variety of things like, who is this builder? How well was the property built? What have they delivered before and were they on time? The projects, did they deliver on time? How have they aged over time, their previous projects? How is the project being maintained? Are there recurring maintenance issues? How are the elevators being kept? How is the sound installation? What about AC, mechanical, electrical systems? So on and so forth. And you'll be surprised how much information you can get, especially in apartment complexes, by just talking to the neighbors and to the residences. For villas, I look at things like the builder's reputation, again, general quality of the material, construction, flooring, HVAC systems, sanitaries, fittings, windows, cabinetry, and landscaping. Also pools if they have it. And for off-plan properties, this becomes even more important because you're not buying an apartment that's already made and you're standing inside of it. You're basically buying a promise of a future apartment. So the rendering can look really amazing, the sales office can be super amazing, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that the end product will be just as good. These become especially important in the secondary market when you want to resell that property. Sometimes I would rather buy an older property that was extremely well built and well maintained, rather than a new property that looks fantastic on brochures but hasn't been proven or doesn't have a proven track record. Number three, the square meter, basically the area. But that's not the whole story, because the layout also matters. This is something the buyers underestimate tremendously many times, because it's not just about the area of the property. You know, you can show me 200-300 square meters townhouses, and one will feel significantly different than the other because of the layout, because of how much space was given to the corridors, or the bedrooms in the proper size that can accommodate, you know, a decent sized bed. What about the living rooms? Can they accommodate, you know, furniture comfortably? What's the connectivity between the kitchen and the dining room? How about the laundry room and the maid's room, if applicable? Things like this that become much, much more important than just the pure area and how many square meters you get in a property. It's the, you know, it's the layout of that property that can make you feel completely different and fall in love with one and don't like the other. A good floor plan is something people appreciate every single day. And when you eventually want to sell it, buyers also immediately feel that as well. Number 4, the price per square meter. But you have to take that in the right context. When you get into the numbers, one of the first metrics everybody should look at actually is price per square meter, and not just the total price for the property. It is useful, but it can also be misleading, so you have to watch out for that. If a property is cheaper than another one in terms of price per square meter, it doesn't automatically mean that property has a better value. You need to know the following things. You need to know what are the comparable properties trading for. When I say comparable, I mean actually comparable in the sense of being in the same community, in the same building, same type of villa, condition, floor, plot, layout, age, etc. And then I want to separate 3 things. 1, the asking price. 1, the recent transaction prices, and the realistic market value. And I'll explain why. Because these are not always the same thing. Anybody can list a property for any price they want. That doesn't mean that somebody is going to buy it at that price. It doesn't guarantee that at all. So whenever possible, I want the actual transaction evidence behind my recommendation. And I always go and check through rating, a paid subscription, and a very reputable platform that gives you the exact date, even with the unit number, the square footage, and the price that has been transacted. So it's very factual, and you can actually base your judgment on the previous transactions. I do not want my client buying something just because someone says the prices are going up. I want to present them with facts. And my question is this, that at this specific price today, does this property still make sense? Number 5, the liquidity. This is one of the most important part of my analysis. How easy is this property to sell when the time comes? Because eventually almost every investment has an exit. Every buyer becomes a seller. But some properties look fantastic on paper when you want to sell them, but the buyer pool is extremely small. So I look at transaction activities. How many units like this actually sold in the last 6 to 12 months? How long these listings have been up? How much competition in terms of inventory is out there? Is this a standardized product, or has it been modified? Or is it genuinely scarce? And there's another question which I like to ask, and that is, if the market is to slow down tomorrow, which property will buyers choose first? That's when liquidity becomes extremely important, because during a strong market, almost everything looks liquid. You only realize when the market becomes tough and the buyers become selective that an asset you have is actually a good asset that can be converted into cash in a reasonable amount of time. And number 6, the rental demand. Even when my clients aren't planning to rent the property, I still look at the rental demand. Why? Because rental demand tells you something about the underlying desirability of the property. Who wants to live there? Families, executives, tourists, or young professionals? Long-term or short-term? What's the occupancy rate? What are the comparable units in that area renting for? And what's the net yield, not just the gross? Because if somebody tells you this property generates, 7-8%. 7-8% of what? Did they take into consideration the maintenance fees, the property management fees, vacancies? Is it for furnished or unfurnished? What are the operating costs? And these are things that they don't usually tell you, and they just give you an overall number. So it's important to take all these little factors into consideration. The important question is, are these charges reasonable for the asset? And what are they doing to the client's net return? And is it going to have a resale appeal when the time comes to liquidate? And number 8, the buyer profile. This is one of the areas where property recommendations become very personal. So before I tell someone what to buy, I need to understand who they are and why are they buying. If they're interested in, as an investor or as an end user, if they're looking for rental income or capital appreciation, if they're looking for a holiday or family home for the next 10 years, is it a buy and hold or buy and flip? What's the size of the investment, cash or mortgage? And does liquidity matter to them? So things of this nature, I need to find out first before I'll be able to offer any product or any project to them. An investor may prioritize yield and liquidity. A family prioritizes a school layout, privacy and convenience. A high net worth individual maybe after scarcity, prestige, capital preservation. So there's no universal law for best property anywhere. There's only the best property for a particular buyer at a particular price. And last but not least, the exit strategy before you buy. One of my most favorite questions. I think about the exit before I think about the entry. If you buy this property today and want to sell it a few years down the line, who's going to buy it from you? That's the question. Is your future buyer another investor, or a family, or an international buyer, or a wealthy user, someone upgrading from a smaller property to a larger one? And why would that person, in any case, choose this property instead of everything else that's out there in the market? This is where scarcity, location, layout, quality, and entry prices matter. Because you don't make all your money when you sell. Actually, a large part of your future return is determined by how intelligently you buy today. And if I can't clearly explain the likely future buyer for a property, I become much more cautious about recommending it to my clients. So after going through all of that and bringing everything together, then I ask myself one final question. Would I be comfortable recommending this property if the market stopped going up tomorrow? Because that's the real test. And it can happen just like right now. If the investment only works because we're assuming prices will keep on increasing, that is a speculation. I want the underlying property to make sense today as well as tomorrow. And sometimes after doing all of that analysis, my recommendations to my client would be, don't buy it. That is also part of my job, and my responsibility isn't just to sell you whichever property happens to be available. My responsibility is to help you make a decision that will make sense after excitement wears off and everything blows over. Dubai is an incredible real estate market, but a strong market doesn't mean every property in it is a strong investment. We are facing that very dilemma today. There are neighborhoods, communities, and projects that are holding their values against all odds. And then there are those that lost values and desirability tremendously. So if you're considering buying a property in Dubai and you want an objective, data-backed assessment before making your decision, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to help you out. And if you found this video useful, please like and subscribe to the channel, because every week I talk about Dubai real estate, investing, communities, and what I'm actually seeing on the grounds. Thank you and see you soon.